and maybe we'll talk a bit later about it, but let's dive into like what Nexudus guys are doing.
Yeah, let's bring Carlos in so we can start our conversation. Thanks, Dimitar, for bringing us on the same level of understanding around those terms. Hi, Carlos.
Hi, Pauline.
How are you?
All good, all good. Suffering a bit the effects of the winter in the UK. So I hope my voice is not too bad.
Okay, well, I hope you are warm. We are really happy to have you here. Thanks for making the time.
No, thank you for the opportunity to talk in this event.
Maybe for some of our viewers who might not know you yet, could you start by introducing yourself, but also what do you do at Nexudus?
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Carlos Almansa, and I'm one of the co-founder at Nexudus. So Nexudus, for those that don't know, is a management platform that basically help operators in co-working spaces to streamline processes and also to grow and nurture their communities. And we've been doing that since 2012 with thousands of operators and spaces. Should I share my screen?
Yeah, I have also the slide. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, that's great. Thank you.
I have the slide, so if you want, normally if you press next, you should be able to control it too. But if not, I can do it for you.
It doesn't work, I think.
Okay, so I can just.
Oh no, it's working. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there you can see basically the timeline. Since we started, it's been a while.
Yeah, actually, 2012. Wow. Okay, so it's
yeah, just last year we made the 10th anniversary.
Okay.
So yeah.
And while preparing for this event, you were telling me that you've been working with AI, and I repeat it again for people who might not be familiar. AI stands for artificial intelligence. For a few years already. So let me ask, what was the first AI feature you guys launched?
Yeah, so we started a couple of years ago working with artificial intelligence projects. In particular, the first one was a module to forecast booking demands. So what we basically try with that module is to provide the operator with a tool for them to understand a bit better how the meeting rooms were used, basically, so that they could then take like informed decisions based on that. So in all the AI projects that we've been working on, we basically try to find actionables and insights, not only presenting data, but also giving operator insights on how they can use those data. So for example, in this case, by understanding the occupation or capacity of the meeting rooms, they can, for example, change the layout based on the requirements of their user, their customers. If we go to the next slide, it's not working for me. But yeah, there you go.
And so that's a feature that people can access, like Nexudus users can access directly from their dashboard?
Exactly. So I don't know if you can see on the image. I mean, it's a bit small, but you can see, for example, the projected demand for the next 4 weeks. And then you can basically see different patterns along the week or the day, depending on the time of the day or the day of the week.
And all of this is powered by artificial intelligence?
Yes. So basically, we built this model based on artificial intelligence, and then we train the model so that it's able to predict those forecasting for bookings and meeting rooms. So obviously it's a process. So when you start building these type of models, so obviously you need to refine them over time, including some more features and so on, so that the model kind of become a bit more intelligent, so to speak.
And sorry.
No, that I was to say that it's like a constant improvement and maintenance. So yeah.
And fast forward to today, can you talk to us about the different ways AI is integrated within Nexudus now?
Yeah, definitely. So we basically focus the efforts that we are doing around artificial intelligence in 2 ways. improving the efficiency of processes, but also improving the customer experience. So in that sense, we have like three different categories. So one being forecasting, as we explained, we do forecasting for meeting rooms, but also for hot desking, which is something that it's growing after COVID. So with COVID, I mean, all the hot desking demand and usage has grown quite a bit. The second category is dynamic pricing. So linked to the previous forecasting modules, we have a system for what operators can use or can implement a dynamic pricing model. So similar to what happened in the airline industry, based on different parameters. Basically, they can define different prices. So, for example, when there is more demand for a specific meeting room, the price can be adjusted accordingly. And the third one is members engagement. So there is a new module that is to be published in a few weeks, and that will help operators to understand a bit better their communities. So obviously when we started 2012, I would say the average size of the space was smaller. So in a space of 40, 50 members, it's easier to get to know your community just by talking to them. When you go from 40 to 200, 300, it becomes a bit more difficult. So we believe that technology in that sense can help to operators to understand a bit better the community and to keep more in touch with them as well.
That's really interesting. And again, all of those features, they're accessible directly for now on the dashboard so it's like a lot for the operators, right?
That's correct. It's a module within the Nexudus platform that they can access directly. Yeah.
And we have all seen since the beginning of 2023 the rise in popularity and also the fast growth of Chat GPT. I think everybody is currently playing and using it. Have you seen a higher interest in AI from Nexudus clients following the rise of Chat GPT?
If you can go to the next slide, sorry.
Oh, yeah, sure.
There you are.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, definitely. I mean, ChatGPT. I mean, everyone is talking about ChatGPT. I was listening to Dimitar talking about it. Yeah, it's very exciting at the moment. What's going on AI? So I think, or we think, it's a pivoting point. And as more and more people are basically becoming aware of AI in general, but also the applications that it could have to different industries. In general, I would say that by conversations with customers, we think that AI is still like a technology that is very new to the co-working industry, and it will take some time to get to kind of a massive adoption of these technologies. So I think it's a process, but at the moment we are in a pivoting point because this ChatGPT, for example, has made it like a bit more mainstream, if it makes sense. But yeah, in that sense, I mean, for us, as I mentioned before, so it's important that every tool that we implement or we introduce to the platform kind of brings value to the operator and their communities as well. And that image in particular, I was playing around with DALI and just see the outcome. I think DALI, it's still like
yeah,
it's a bit more challenging than ChatGPT, but yeah, I mean, it's awesome what you can get out of it. Yeah.
And Carlos, allow me just to define what's DALI, because again, I really want people watching this to not be afraid or not understand what we are talking about. So DALI is actually similar to ChatGPT, except that instead of text, it generates images. What did you ask actually DALI when you made this image?
So in that case, if I remember, it was generate an image of a brain linked to a building and painted in blue or something like that.
Okay.
And then I added myself the Nexudus logo.
That was my next question. I was like, did it actually add the Nexudus logo?
No, it didn't.
I think Dimitar, what are the other AI powered image generators, and also there are a lot. I forgot some of them, but I think the secret to get good images, if I'm not mistaken, from AI is to work on your script, right? You guys know maybe more than me.
I think that's correct. I mean, I'm not an expert on AI, but it's the more context you give the tool, the better is the result. So Dimitar mentioned about coding, for example. So small pieces of code it can generate if you give the context and the instructions like very kind of accurately. So in that sense, the more context that you provide to the tool, the better the answer is. I think in our case, we are impressed by the understanding it has of what basically you are asking for. And I think that's kind of, as Dimitar mentioned, like a breakthrough on the industry. So not so much yet the answer, but because sometimes it's even like I think they call it hallucinations, where they give you like an answer that is not true, basically. But yeah, I think the future it's promising in that sense.
Yeah, and it's go for it, Dimitar.
We have a question I see from our viewers. It's for Carlos, the question. What makes this explained scenario an AI-powered tool versus driven by machine learning? So maybe what's the difference between the machine learning and artificial intelligence tools? How they are complementing or differentiating?
Yeah, I mean every project it's different, so it's more about finding the combination of those two. So obviously we work with a team of data scientists. So in every project they understand what they need to use to achieve the outcome. I mean obviously the models that we can develop compared to something like ChatGPT is very, I would say, humble. But it's very focused, bespoke to a particular outcome for a particular industry in this case. So we are trying to use artificial intelligence in a particular scenario. For example, when we talk about bookings, demand, or customer engagement. So the context is very very concrete, I would say.
That's also a great bridge to my next question, because I wanted to ask you, now that ChatGPT makes AI a little bit more, maybe less scary or a bit more concrete for a lot of people. I see a lot of coworking operators. When I browse LinkedIn or social media, everybody is on ChatGPT creating poems and images and whatnot. So have you had clients that have come to you and be like, hey, Carlos, can you do that with AI on Nexudus? Do you have suggestions from your clients and customers?
In general, I mean, we get suggestions and feedback from customers, if not on a daily basis, very frequently. It's more related in general to Nexudus. Lately, we have some feedback about AI, but I would say that at the moment it's more like us explaining what we are doing around AI, because it's very new, in my opinion, to the industry. So it's more about us explaining what they can achieve with all these modules, other than them kind of providing feedback specifically, because as you said, it's very recent, all these ChatGPT and Open AI. But I think, I mean, in the next few months, probably we'll get more and more feedback about this. Yeah.
And how, if we get a little bit more concrete, how do you see AI being able to support coworking operators even more in the near and maybe further future?
Yeah, so definitely, I think there are a few areas where AI will have like a direct impact in the near futures. I think it's important to stress that I think this change is going to be something gradual. So I wouldn't expect things changing overnight, like in a matter of months or not even a few years. So I think it's going to be a gradual process where AI will have like impact on specific areas. So in particular for co-working spaces, I see, for example, in operations. So it will help to automate more daily processes so that operators can spend more time with their members. And that's something, for example, that we've been doing since 2012 with the platform, but I think this AI will contribute to, to that as well. On the sales process, so virtual assistants, many people are talking about virtual assistants as like a direct application of AI, and in particular ChatGPT. So in this case, I think during the onboarding process, this virtual assistant will be able to provide a more bespoke experience to the potential lead or customer. Yeah? And then at the end, the customer experience. So the experience of the member within the space, again, could be improved or supported by AI. So an example that we could see is, for example, help desk. So a ticketing system that it's supported by AI could kind of help members directly. Not only that, could potentially build a repository automatically with FAQs, like frequently asked questions, so that members can just get the information. And that could happen automatically using AI. Yeah, so those are the main areas that we think would have like direct impact in co-working spaces. I generated this image and I used the prompt because I found this interesting. So I asked this DALI again, generate an image with orange as main color that represent co-working spaces. And the outcome, it happened to me as it used to happen, I mean, both in architecture magazines and some images of co-working spaces, that what's missing there to me is people, right? So there's no people on the drawing. So I think in that case, DALI is not kind of, it didn't get what co-working is yet. So it's more, in my opinion, that it's still room for improvement.
Yeah, and you've been lucky because I've been trying many things with DALI and the other ones regarding co-working spaces, and yours look much better than mine. Because
I like the image. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I ask for co-working space and like I get cubicles, and like I got like I should have saved all of the images I tried, but they were not looking very good. And yeah, maybe we can help AI get smarter when it comes to understanding that co-working is always with people inside. While all of this seems also super interesting and promising, there might also be some challenges, I guess. So in your view, what could become a challenge around AI for co-working spaces?
Yeah, definitely. I think as any other new technology, the challenge is first to understand the technology as much as possible and see what could be the applications in our case, in our industry in particular. So I think with COVID, the industry suffered a major impact, but also it brought like a big opportunity for the industry to lead the future of the workspace, basically. So in that sense, I think the future workplace will be with the community at the center, with the members at the center. So the spaces in general, we believe they will be like fluid and flexible. Will be spaces that nurture and foster creativity as well, and also promote this serendipity that we used to talk a lot back in the days in these co-working conferences. But these natural collisions between members that basically spark like collaborations, projects, and so on. So I think those are the challenges, like understanding first the technology, but also see how we can use to get to the outcome that we want for the industry.
And besides supporting operators, because now we've been talking a lot about them since we started our chat, I would also love to get maybe a bit of your feeling when it comes to the end users, so people using co-working spaces, the members. How do you see AI being able to improve their daily lives within the space?
Yeah. So for members as well, I think it's going to impact on the experience of the space, and in particular customizing that experience. So supporting day-to-day operations like bookings, asking for help, things like that, but also getting more like customized content around the space, for example. So there are many spaces like doing events, and that's something that AI could help with, suggesting events based on their interests and so on. But in particular, yeah, customizing that experience within the space. Again, I think it's something that will take time, so it will be something gradual that we'll see kind of incremental changes. But yeah, I think there is a lot of potential in these technologies.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that part, how seeing how members' life will be impacted by AI, and also because I mean already through platforms like Nexudus, you save so much time on operations through automations and the fact that once spaces have processes that they put into Nexudus, it just like rolls, and then they have so much more time for being with their members and interacting with their communities. So I'm just also very curious to see how AI can help community managers in bringing people together. So like how that technology can blend into the community strategies in the near and further future. But yeah, you're right. This might take a bit more time also. And one last thing I wanted to ask you, as the event today focuses on other tech trends like blockchain, DAOs, and Web3, for instance, is that something that you are also looking at Nexudus?
So not in particular, as we have enough on our plate at the moment. but yeah, we always keep an eye on technologies and trends that can be implemented and can provide value to the co-working spaces and operators and the end users as well. But yeah, at the moment it's with all this AI and the next development that we have on the roadmap, we have a lot on the plate. Yeah.
I guess so. Dimitar, are there any other questions for Carlos?
Not that I see at the moment, but it's very interesting, this talk about because now we see ChatGPT, it's just so general, but it's very interesting to see how you can use it for particular use cases in certain softwares for certain industry to help certain businesses. And I'm looking at the 3 bullet points that are on the slide, and I really see sales as something that so many teams can improve, because co-working spaces have small teams. So same as me, like I have a ChatGPT, like kind of like a companion for coding. But if co-working spaces have, let's say, an extra member that can help them so much with like even learning about sales and like giving data about the industry, give them data about like certain type of clients and how they can serve them better, and like what kind of offer are suitable for them. It's so interesting that all of a sudden we have this kind of a box that we can wish something to it, and it can give us a bit of, not a bit, a lot of context how to approach something. Yeah, just my 2 cents on it.
Thank you so much, Dimitar. I just want maybe one last thing, Carlos. How can people get to know more about what Nexudus is up to, and how can they keep in touch with you guys?
Oh, sure. I mean, they can reach out to us directly on the website, so nexudus.com, and the team will be happy to just jump on a call to discuss anything about the platform or these AI modules as well.
Yeah, they can have a demo of how things work concretely.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Carlos, for being with us today and for sharing everything you guys are up to. It sounds exciting and promising, so we'll all keep an eye on this.
No, thanks again for the opportunity. Thanks so much.
Get better soon, and we hope to
Thank
see
you.
you at any of those upcoming conferences in person then.
We will. Bye. Have a
Bye,
nice day.
Carlos.
Bye. Ciao.
All right, back here. Do we have Mike already here, or are we still waiting for him?
Not yet. I think we are still waiting. We have a few minutes.
Okay.
But we can just have a bit of a chat about what we've heard and what we've seen.
Yeah. For me, it's, I mean, as I was saying, I find it really interesting to be able to see how AI is going to facilitate our lives within the space, especially again on the community part. I think that's really, really what kind of like drives me, or what I'm curious to discover, because I think there's so much that can be done for community managers and for people running spaces with AI, that seeing what Nexudus is up to, and I'm sure other even operators now experimenting with ChatGPT and generating images and all, sounds like really, really exciting.
I think it's interesting to see, because the coworking industry is relatively small, but it's super cool to see that there are companies who are taking that new technology and like working with it for the benefit of everyone. As it's going to just develop, it's not going to stay, or it's not going to stop, it's not going to fade away, it's just going to keep developing. So having someone in the co-working industry working on those models is important. As we saw, AI doesn't understand co-working. It sees chairs and desks and walls and covers, but doesn't see people. So I think this is something very interesting to look into, how to train those models to create co-working spaces more visible, even for the AI. But it's also a metaphor that even in society, we don't know about co-working as much as we believe there is, because we're still in this small bubble of co-working, and there's a way bigger world out there that, yeah, we can see it with the example with AI and DALL-E in general.
Yeah, I have done so many of those. I think, what was the name of this other platform? There's DALL-E and there is another one. What was it called? Journey something?
Midjourney.
Midjourney. That was the one I was also trying to experiment with, which is really cool, to try to generate images around co-working. But as Carlos pointed out, not much successful so far with that.
Yeah, I think if people join our Discord, and they can ask us questions, where to start and how to start, and how to test things, because for me at the moment, the biggest effort people can do is to start somewhere. Start really testing ChatGPT, the easiest. Then like try to generate an image with DALL-E, and move to Midjourney to generate other images, because there you can have like 3D and like hyper quality for K and so on. It creates an amazing environment.